Uh, Hello, students. Today we will discuss regarding the symbol timing estimation here. Okay. In this particular topic here, that is, we are trying to estimate the symbol timing here. Okay. In digital communication here, at the output of the demodulator here, we need to sample the output periodically here with a certain rate here. That is nothing but our symbol rate here. Okay, at precise okay, so that is nothing but here Tm is equal to m into capital T plus tau here. Okay, that you can see in this particular screen here. Okay, Tm is equal to small m into capital T plus tau here, right? So capital T represents our symbol interval here, SOM vowel symbol interval. Okay, and tau is going to represent our time delay here. Okay, this time delay is nothing but here the what you can say that propagation delay or propagation time of the particular signal here between the transmitter and the receiver here. Okay, now to perform this periodic sampling here, we are going to assume there is a clock signal at the receiver side here, or you can say that there is a requirement of the uh, clock signal at the receiver here. Now the process of estimating, or you can say extracting the clock signal at the receiver here, is called symbol synchronization here. What is the definition of symbol synchronization here? Or you can say timing recovery here. Timing recovery or symbol synchronization here. Okay, that is nothing but here. Okay, the process of extracting the clock signal at the receiver is called timing recovery, or you can say symbol synchronization here. Remember here, time recovery is one of the most critical, you can say, the function here. Okay, that has been performed at the receiver side here. Okay, critical function that has been performed with the receiver side here. Okay, that too in the case of what here, synchronous digital communication system here, not asynchronous digital communication system here. Okay, remember, synchronous digital communication system here. Okay, so receiver should be what you can say that aware of what you can say that uh, where to take the samples within each symbol interval here. Okay, receiver must be very much aware of where exactly I need to take the sample here within the particular symbol period here. Okay, right? So symbol synchronization can be achieved in many ways here. There are two ways how exactly we can achieve the symbol synchronization here. One is that we have to assume a master clock here. Okay, that master clock should be synchronized with both, that is transmitter and receiver here. As this master clock is going to provide some timing signals here to both the transmitter and receiver here. So then the receiver definitely will estimate and the compensate for the relative time delay here. Okay, it will do that one, so between the transmitted and the receiver signal here. That is one way of achieving the symbol synchronization. That is, first we will have one master clock defined here. That master clock is been synchronous with the transmitter and receiver here, which is going to provide timing signal here. Then the receiver is responsible for estimating this clock signal here between the transmitted and the received signals here. Okay, so this is how the first one method here. Another method, we can assume that what when this particular transmitter is going to transmit the signal, right? That signal, okay, that signal is having certain clock frequency here. Okay, that same clock frequency can be extracted from the receiver here. Okay, same clock frequency here. Okay, can be extracted from the receiver here. okay, using something called as a narrowband filter here. Okay, so this is one way of another way of achieving the symbol synchronizer here. Okay, so what is going to happen in narrowband filter here is that wavelengths of certain range will be allowed to transmit here, while others will be blocked here. That is what is narrowband filter does here. So what we are going to do here is we are transmitting the symbol with certain frequency, right? Certain clock frequency will be there. The same clock frequency we are going to apply at the receiver side here. Okay, same condition we are going to put with the narrowband filter here. That's how we are going to extract the clock signal at the receiver side here. Okay, this is how the symbol synchronization can be achieved in the two ways here, right? Okay, now let us move on to the main topic here, that is maximum likelihood timing estimation here, right? So how exactly this maximum likelihood timing estimation could be done here, right? ML estimate you can say here. How can we estimate the time here? Like we have done for the phase estimation, right? In the previous topics here, the same thing we are going to do here. For that one, we have to consider one particular waveform here, right? Pulse amplitude modulation waveform we have considered here. That is baseband pulse amplitude modulation waveform we have considered. That is equation number 1. You can see here. Okay. Then where this particular signal will be represented with the information symbols here and then the pulse here. That is equation number 2 here. Now let us understand from the point of decision directed and non-decision directed here. Okay, now decision directed estimation of a time. How exactly we are going to estimate the time here using the decision directed method here, right? Here, the whatever the symbols we are going to transmit from the transmitter side here, uh, it is known at the demodulator side here. We'll assume that means we are having the coherent system here. Coherent system means what here? Whatever the signals that are being transmitted by the transmitter here, it is very well aware by the receiver here what kind of signals are being transmitted here. Okay, so it is very easy to demodulate at the receiver side here. That condition we are going to keep at this moment here. Okay, so in the same way, what we're going to do here is we'll have this log likelihood function here. You know the likelihood function, right? Inverted of v here and tau we can consider, because estimation of a time is that tau we have to consider here. In the previous cases, we used to consider the phi here in this bracket. Okay, then we need to consider that timing period here, that is t naught, whatever the received signal into the signal here, right? So equation number 3 is going to represent the log likelihood function. That's why we have L in this case here. L and the coefficient is C, constant L. Okay, so log likelihood function we have going to consider here, right? So if at all we substitute the equation number 2, that is nothing but our signal here, into equation number 3 here, we are going to get equation number 4 here. Okay, so this equation number 4, you know, y of n is nothing but what here? I think I have told, I think we have discussed that one. This is nothing but a matched filter output here, r of t into g of t minus nt minus tau. There's nothing but our matched filter output here, right? So again, this now what we're trying to understand is we will have to estimate the tau here, that is timing here. Okay, so maximum likelihood estimation of a tau is nothing but here tau cap here, right? So if at all we differentiate this one here, that is maximum likelihood function is, if at all we differentiate here, we'll get the equation number 5 here, right? Okay, that is equation number 5 here. You can see here we are going to differentiate the equation number 4 here with respect to the time here. There we are going to get the maximum likelihood estimate of the tau here, that is time here, estimation of a time here, using the decision directed method here. Okay, the same method has been implemented with this particular figure here. Okay, what you're going to do in this particular figure, you can see the received whatever the signal is there is been given to the matched filter here, where g of t is the pulse here, and it has been differentiated with respect to t here. Okay, then it has been given to the sampler here where it is going to be sampled. Okay, now based on how exactly it is going to be sampled here, based on whatever the estimation of a time is there, or you can say maximum likelihood estimation here, that is n into t capital tau cap ml is there. No, this is the maximum likelihood estimation of the time here. Okay, this is how we are going to get here as an input to the sampler here, from the voltage controlled oscillator to this sampler here. Okay, so what is the summation of figure is there here? This will act as a filter here. The summation symbol is there, right? This particular block is going to act as a loop filter here. Okay, whose bandwidth is controlled by a sliding window here. Okay, length of the sliding, based on the length of the sliding window here, this particular bandwidth will be controlled here, and this loop filter will be, output will be given as input to what here, voltage controlled clock here, right, which again controls the sampling here, how much sampling should be there to the input of the sampler here, right? Okay, this is how we can explain regarding the estimation of the time here using the decision directed method here, right? Okay, now let us understand another method here, that is again non-decision directed timing estimation here. What exactly we are going to do in this case here, non-decision directed here? Okay, so here again we have to look into again this log likelihood function or likelihood function itself only. We are going to consider again the likelihood function here, that is inverted of v into bracket of tau, that is likelihood function of the timing here, right? So what function I am going to find out here. Okay, or uh, what I will do is I will find the log likelihood of the timing estimation, and then I'm going to find the average here. Thereafter I'm going to differentiate here, then only I'm going to get the maximum likelihood estimation here using the non-decision directed method here. Okay, now for that also again I have to consider this binary pulse amplitude modulation here. Okay, signal we have to consider here. We have discussed this one here, where we have to consider information symbol or sequence data here, that should be having the equal probability here. Okay, the same thing here we are going to consider here. Then we have to find the average of that data here. The same thing we have going to consider here in the timing estimation here. Let us consider a signal which is a binary pulse amplitude modulation here, whose signal values are +1 and -1. That is nothing but here in is equal to plus or minus 1 here, with equal probability we are going to consider here. Thereafter we are going to find the average of over this data which you have considered here, right? So that's how the equation 1 comes into picture here. That is log likelihood function of the time. Then there is average is there, is nothing but a summation of n is equal to antilog of what you can say cos hyperbolic here, cos hyperbolic x you can consider, or cos hyperbolic the value is there here, c into bracket of y and tau is there here. Okay, this could be considered as x here. So if at all we have the value of x is very small here, then we can equate cos hyperbolic x is equal to 1 by 2 x square here. There is nothing but antilog of cos hyperbolic x is equal to approximately equal to 1 divided by 2 x square here. Okay, or can or then then we will be having the modified equation, that is equation number 2 here, which is nothing but here low signal to noise ratio it is there here. That's how maximum likelihood estimation of a time over the average here, that is equal to 1 by 2 c square summation of n yn square tau this is nothing but here you can also consider square law approximation here, right? Okay. Now, if at all, again, once we find out the maximum likelihood estimation of the time, okay, that is log likelihood and the average here. Thereafter, what we have to do? We have to differentiate that one here. Okay. After differentiating, what we're going to get here is this is the equation here. Okay. Right. Now this equation could be implemented again with the same figure here, right? Same figure that we have discussed for the decision directed only. Here the same figure itself is there here. Nothing much difference is there. Again, the received waveform will be taken into consideration as an input to the matched filter here. The only thing that we have change we can consider is non-linear here. The device here, whatever we are using is a non-linear device here. Okay, right? So that is nothing but here we are going to square approximation, right? We are going to implement the square law approximation, right? The same thing. It is a non-linear device here. In the previous diagram, you could see that once output of the matched filter will be differentiated here. Right, in the previous figure. Now it is not the case here. This square law approximation is being introduced between the matched filter and the differentiation here. Right, the differentiation output is given to the sampler here, and you will be having at what time you have to sample, and everything will be given by the VCC. VCC is nothing but is voltage controlled clock here. Okay, which will be having input from the summation. That is nothing but here again the loop filter will be there here. Okay, that is nothing but here it is going to control the bandwidth here. Okay, so this is how we can explain the non-decision directed method here for the estimation of the time here. Okay, that is maximum likelihood estimation of the time here. Okay, so let us move on to the next topic here. That is, this is very important from the point of an examination here. That is early late gate synchronizer here. Now this is again one of the method, or can say that one of the estimator that has been there for the non-decision directed here. Okay, remember non-decision directed timing estimator method here. Okay, now what we are going to do here is we are going to exploit the symmetric properties of the signal here at the output of the correlator or matched filter here. And we can see in this particular PDF here, see there is one signal here whose amplitude is capital A and the timing period is, or I can say that the pulse period is capital T here. It's going to end here. Okay, whose timing interval is 0 to capital T here. Now, what is going to happen here is that after giving this particular signal S of T to the matched filter or correlator here, what you're going to have here is this particular pulse is going to attain its maximum value at small t is equal to capital T here. Here you can say optimal sampling it is there here, right? There is something called as a T minus delta here. That is early sampling here. There is something called as T plus delta here. That is nothing but a late sampling here. Okay, that's how the name comes here, early late gate synchronizer here. Okay, so why this kind of a thing is being adopted here? Okay, that's the question comes into picture here, right? Okay, so the reason behind this one is, so identification of the peak value of the signal is difficult here. Okay, so that's why what that too in the presence of the noise here. Okay, identification of the peak value of the particular signal is difficult in the presence of the noise here. So to do that one here, we are trying to have the early and a late synchronizing effect here, or you can say at its small t is equal to capital T minus T, we are going to sample, we are going to collect the samples here, early samples here, and also after T plus delta also we are going to collect the samples here. Okay, this is how we can understand from the early late gate synchronizer, or you can say that this is the reason behind we were going for this particular methodology. So in that case here, what early samples if you take here, you will have that m into bracket of T minus delta, and if you take the late symbols here, that is the m into bracket of T plus delta. If at all at a peak value, you are going to get y of m into t will come into picture here. Then, so here autocorrelation function is given here. That is, we are having the odd and even function we are having here. So autocorrelation function, whatever we are having at this early late gate synchronizer here, it is even with respect to optimum sampling here. That is, t is equal to capital T here. We are going to get the absolute values here, okay, of the correlation function that t is equal to t capital T minus delta, and also small t is equal to capital T plus delta. We're going to get here, but they are equal here, absolute values. Now, proper timing will be there here. That is, proper sampling timing will be there at the midpoint between this capital T minus delta and capital T plus delta is nothing but our the condition here. The condition that is required to form early late gate symbol synchronizer here. Okay, let us understand this particular thing with the figure that we is given here. Okay, and just go on to understand this particular figure here. Very simple to understand. I think I have to rotate this one here. Submit here. Yeah, I will just rotate here. I will just rotate here so that it is quite easy to understand here. Yeah, see, you can see here in this particular figure here what is going to represent here. It is nothing but here early late gate synchronizer here. We are having something called the received signal. Okay, then the received signal is been given to the two multipliers here. That is, you can see in the above, and there is another multiplier here. Above multiplier has been advanced by delta here, and below multiplier has been delayed by delta here. Okay, so how exactly symbol waveform generator is that? In nothing but here we are going to give certain pulse here. Symbol wave generator is nothing but it is going to generate certain pulse here. That pulse will be advanced and delayed here. Okay, advanced will be sent to upper and delayed will be sent to below here, and whatever the received signal is there multiplied with advanced pulse will be given as an input to this correlator here. Again the same thing, that is in the below side also it is there. That is, received signal will be multiplied with a delayed pulse here, and it will be given as an input to this correlator here. Okay, one correlator starts integrating with delta seconds here, that is early. Okay, early. Another one is late here, that is below one here, delayed one here, and then correlator, both the correlators output will be given to the sampler here, right? Okay, and then the sampler will be given to the input as a magnitude block here. There we are going to find certain error signal here between the two things here, that is early and late things here. That will be given as an loop filter here. Okay, this loop filter will estimate what is exactly the voltage will be there here. Okay, that voltage v of t will be passed to the voltage controlled oscillator here. That will be given to input as a symbol waveform generator here. Okay, this is how our early late gate synchronizer is going to work out here. Okay, and there is one more input to the sampler here, that is nothing but symbol timing here. Okay, that will be coming from the voltage controlled oscillator that will be given to both the samplers here. Okay, this is how I can explain regarding the figure, that is early late gate symbol synchronizer here. Remember, we are having two figures here. One is usually this is the one we have to understand clearly how exactly the early late gate symbol synchronizer works out here. Okay, okay, first it has been advanced, delayed, Then correlator comes into picture. Sampler will have two inputs. One is from correlator and one is from symbol timing here. There we are going to find the error signal here. That error signal will be given as a loop filter input here. Then loop filter will estimate voltage here. That will be given to VCC. The VCC will again be given to the pulse generator here. Okay, this is how we can understand regarding the uh, early rate gate synchronizer here. Okay, so let us move on to the next topic here. That is the last topic here. Okay. Just a minute here. Okay, so let us move on to the last topic here. That is ML estimation here. That is nothing but here our there is another figure concerned with this early late gate here. That is the alternate version here. You can refer here. Okay, in my notes here. Now, last topic of this particular class here, performance of a ML estimate here. Now, in very simple manner, I will just explain here how what we have done here is till now we have estimating the phi here. That is nothing but our phase here, carrier phase we are trying to estimate here, and we are also trying to estimate the uh, timing delay here, or you can say propagation delay tau here, right? So both we are estimating here with the help of maximum likelihood here. Now we're trying to understand here how what is exactly the performance here of maximum likelihood estimation of the phase in the time here, right? Okay, so the quality of the signal parameter estimation here, that is signal parameter estimation only we have done here, that is phi, that is phase, and the tau, that is time here. Now this quality is measured in terms of the bias and the variances. Okay. Okay. So what we are going to do here is we are going to again assume certain sequence of observation here, x equal to x1, x2, x2, x3, so on up to we are going to observe here. Then we are going to consider the probability density function of that particular x here, considering there is a phase uh, value here. Okay. Now if I consider the bias of the estimate here, that is a say phi cap of x is defined as the bias is equal to expectation of phase cap of x minus of phi here. Okay, and the same variance we are going to consider here. Now, if our what are the expected value is there for the phase cap of x is there is equal to phi, then we can say that our estimation or estimate is unbiased here. Now, if at all we consider that our estimation is unbiased here, then what I could consider in this next equation is that our numerator value is equal to 1 here. That is this part here. Okay? This part E into bracket of flower bracket that has been written here, right? This part is equal to unity here. Then if the numerator value in this particular equation is equal to 1, then the bond becomes lower bond here, okay, of the variance here. Okay, so variance is you can see sigma phi square is there here, right? Now further, if you look into here, you consider any estimate here. If at all our estimation is unbiased, okay, and whose variance is going to attain the lower bound here, then it is called as an efficient estimation here. Okay? That second point we have to consider here. That is, the first point is here we are trying to measure the performance of ML estimation here. That is phi and timing here. That is tau here, using the bias and its variance here. Second point here is how exactly we can consider the estimate is more efficient here. Okay, how exactly? That is, if at all we have an estimate which is unbiased, okay, and its variance is having the lower value here, then it only it is called as efficient estimation here, right? Now, if at all, in generally what we can say here is that, if at all, you know that two signal parameter we are having, that is phi and tau here. This particular thing is generally, you can say that it is inversely proportional to the signal to noise ratio here. Okay, right? So now, one thing you have to remember here, whatever the variance that we have understood, that it should have the lower bond, and also it should be unbiased, and then only it is called as efficient estimation, right? In a decision directed estimation here, this variance is having the lower probabilities here when it is compared to the variance that we are going to find out from the non-decision directed estimation here. Okay, so the performance of maximum likelihood decision directed estimate for this particular phi term and the tau will be having the, what you can say, that lower bound here. Okay, remember here, non-decision directed estimation of the phi and the tau do not perform well here because of the non-linearity that is been involved here. Okay, right. So now, and remember here, the whatever the quality of simple timing estimation is there, it depends upon the function of the signal pulse shape here. Okay, right? So that is nothing but here, the bandwidth of the pulse is varied based on the pulse shape here, right? Obviously, based on the pulse shape here, the bandwidth is varied here. Hence, what is going to happen here is that the root mean square value of the timing error also is going to change here. Okay, so if at all there is a what you can say, that increase uh, in the bandwidth of the pulse here, obviously there is a decrease in the error here. If there is a decrease in the, what you can say, bandwidth of the pulse here, there is a increase in the error here. Okay, this is how, or this is how I could measure the performance of the ML estimate here. 3 points you have to remember very clearly. One is regarding bias term and its variances. Another term is regarding how exactly we could call it as an efficient estimator here. And the third thing is regarding the uh, which decision directed variance of non-decision or variance of decision directed is good here. Okay, this much you can remember, or this much you can learn from the point of performance of ML estimators here. Okay, so if you have any doubts here, you can just ping me in the WhatsApp. Okay, thank you.